Hello everyone, welcome back to Discipleship School Bible Reading Challenge. I'm so glad you are here, and today is day 9. If you've been with us right from day 1, I want to say congratulations. What we are doing, we are building something in our spirit, something that will last. And quickly, today we are in Matthew chapter 10 and Matthew chapter 11 and also Luke chapter 7. And one of the things I love about the gospel is that we are not just talking about stories, we are talking about Jesus. We're talking about Jesus. So let's begin very quickly. Matthew chapter 10. I will start from verse 1. In Matthew chapter 10, verse 1, we see Jesus calling out his 12 disciples. And look at what he told them in that verse 1. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. He said, Jesus called his 12 disciples and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits, to heal every kind of disease and illness. So Jesus called his 12 disciples and he gave them authority. For every calling, there is an authority that backs it up. And that's one of the things that we must note. We are not sent on our own authority. We are sent with the authority of Jesus. So when you see Jesus casting out devils, when you see Jesus healing the sick, he is doing it because he has the authority, and now we are sent with that same authority. And then another thing we see that Jesus called them. Jesus did not force them. Jesus did not twist them. Jesus did not manipulate them. The Bible says Jesus called them. And every call of God is a noble call. Every call of God is a noble call. Every call of God is a noble call. You were called to join him. They were called to stay with him. They were called to be with him. So when God calls us, our response, we should know that this call is a noble call. It's either we join him, either we follow up with him, or we remain behind. How do we respond to the call of God? How do we respond to the call of God? Another thing that I want us to note from here is that he did not just send them out with power. He sent them out with instructions. Look at what he said in verse 9. Okay, verse 8 says, go, announce that the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with leprosy, cast out demons, give as freely as you have received. Verse 9 says, don't take any money in your money belt. No gold, no silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a change of clothes. What's he trying to say? He's trying to say that they should be dependent on him. If he's calling them and he's sending them forth, then there is dependency in God built into that mission. There is dependency in God built into that mission. So we're not just giving authority, we're giving instructions. And how well we carry out those instructions is how well we fulfill the assignment that has been given to us. So he told them, do not depend on me, even on this journey that you are undertaking. Your sustenance is me. Your dependency is on me. And one of the things he said, I love Jesus. He did not sugarcoat things for them. He was so clear when he told them in verse 16. He says, look, I am sending you as sheep among wolves. I am sending you as sheep among wolves. So you will stand trial before the governors in verse 18. He says, and because you are my followers, you will stand trial. Because you are my followers, you will be persecuted. It says, when you are persecuted, verse 23. It says, when you are persecuted in one town, flee to the next. I tell you the truth, the Son of Man will not return until you have reached all the towns of Israel. It says, do not be afraid of those who threaten you. So what's he trying to say? Jesus, first of all, we see that Jesus called everybody, both the educated, the uneducated, called everyone from all walks of life. And he gave them authority, he gave them instruction, he prepared the disciples for persecution. I am sending you as sheep among wolves. He was not sugarcoating it. And this is one thing we must note as disciples. Discipleship is costly. Discipleship is costly. You run the risk of being persecuted. You run the risk of being hated. You run the risk of being mocked. But one of the things he said in verse 26 says, do not be afraid. In fact, if you look at this chapter very well, 3 times in this chapter, Jesus told them to fear not. 3 times. Why did Jesus keep saying this? Because one of the things that stops the disciple is fear. So what is Jesus asking you to do right now? This is a reflection question. What is Jesus asking you to do right now that fear is keeping you from it? Fear of the unknown, fear of how to even begin, fear of what to expect. But he says, do not be afraid, I am with you. Do not be afraid, I am with you. And then another thing I want to say very quickly, in that Matthew chapter 11, he says there is in verse 28, he says, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Come to me, all you who are weary and are heavy burden, and I will give you rest. So he has talked about the mission. He has talked about the opposition and the doubt. One of the things that we must know is he offers rest. And this is the heartbeat of this chapter. Are you carrying something today that Jesus is inviting you to lay down? Just come to me, I will give you rest. Are you burdened? And because of the assignment you are burdened, he says, come to me, I will give you rest. So he didn't call us to trouble us, but rather he called us to rest. Okay, now Luke chapter 7. And this chapter is packed with so many interesting things. We have at least 4 major stories happening here. The first one, we see a Roman officer that demonstrates faith, and we dealt on this on day 7 of this Bible reading challenge. You can check out the video. The other one, we also see Jesus raising a widow's son from the dead. A funeral procession. A widow has just lost her only son. And what did Jesus do? Jesus did not even ask any question. The Bible says, when the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with compassion. Don't cry, he said. Then he walked over to the coffin, touched it, the bearers, and said, young man, I said to you, get up. And the dead boy sat up and began to talk. And Jesus gave him back to his mother. So sometimes, one of the things that we must understand here is that sometimes God doesn't move because of our faith. This woman here never said anything, did not even request, but the Bible says that Jesus had compassion on her. Sometimes it's an act of his mercy and compassion. It's an act of his mercy and compassion. This widow got her son back because of the mercy and the compassion of God. And then we also see John the Baptist sending people to go and ask Jesus if he was the Messiah. And what did Jesus do? Oh, I love Jesus. The Bible says that Jesus told them, go back to John and tell him what you have seen and what you have heard. So the same John that baptized Jesus, the same John that commissioned him into the ministry, suddenly had doubt. And Jesus cleared his doubt. Jesus did not say, why? Oh, you have little faith. Jesus did not condemn him. But Jesus told them to go back and tell him what they have seen. Jesus made doubt with evidence and gentleness, and not with condemnation. Finally, we see a woman, a sinful woman that came to anoint Jesus' feet. Jesus walked into a Pharisee's house, and they were having dinner, and a sinful woman came. So the woman came uninvited. The woman came unannounced, but she did something powerful. But she did something very great. She anointed Jesus' feet, and she came to him with weeping. And then Jesus told them a story of 2 debtors. One that owed a large amount of money, and one that owed little. Both of them were forgiven. And he said something. He said, the one that loves more is the one that was forgiven more. The one that, if we understand how huge our sin is, we will love God more. If we know how huge it was, the forgiveness of our sins, then we will know that we ought to love and to appreciate God more. So let's pull the thread on this very quickly. Jesus sends his disciples out, but promises them it won't be easy. We see Jesus meeting the doubt of John with gentleness. We see a centurion, a widow receiving a miracle that she didn't ask for, and a sinful woman that came to meet Jesus and goes home forgiven. So what's the big idea here? Following Jesus doesn't always look the same for everybody. But whatever it is, it involves trust. Whatever it is, it involves trust. And whether you are sent, or you are sitting, or you are waiting for a miracle, or you are weeping at his feet, Jesus meets you right where you are. So, this year we'll wrap up on day 9 of our discipleship school. If this blessed you, do well to subscribe. You can catch up on all the other days that you've missed, and I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.